Hey, Daydreamer, welcome back to Living Your Daydream. I'm Asher James, and in today's episode, we're going to do something a little bit different in the best way. It's the first time that you're going to be joining me behind the scenes to hear a replay of one of the most energizing, eye-opening coaching calls that we've had inside of the Daydreamers community. It was originally recorded live with our members, and the conversation took on just a life of its own. If you want to join the Daydreamers community and be a part of the next coaching call, there's a link down in the description, so go ahead and check that out. It's a free online community for entrepreneurs, creatives, and people just wanting to support each other in a space of positivity outside of other traditional, social media or online groups type of things. It's its own portal, so you can go ahead and check that out down in the description. So in this coaching call, we talked about what to do when you've got too many ideas and not enough energy, right? We unpacked the idea of living by maintenance energy, how to keep your projects alive without trying to scale everything all at once. So we redefined work-life balance as well. And spoiler, it doesn't exist. And we introduced something way more human and flexible, sway, which actually goes back to a conversation that I had with Jennifer Moher. And if you don't know who Jennifer Moher is, you need to go ahead and also check that past episode out. I'll link that down in the description as well. So this conversation is for anyone who feels like they are spinning plates, struggling to focus, or trying to do too much. And it's for the people who want permission to choose their one thing and go all in on that. And speaking of going all in, I'm officially inviting you to my very first upcoming workshop called No Backup Plan. It's happening Thursday, July 17th here in Duluth at my studio. And it's for anyone who is ready to stop overthinking and actually start moving and making some progress. It's a goal setting strategy meeting meets vibes of hanging out, having some drinks and all that stuff. There's a DJ, there's a game plan, and there's only 50 spots. So if you are local to Duluth or want to come and travel to this event, make sure that you're in this room. Early bird tickets are live right now, and they're just $7, but only through this Sunday. Next Monday, June 23rd, the price goes up to $27. So make sure to grab yours, your early bird ticket down in the first link in the description below. And with that, we're going to jump into the episode. So, all right, so grab your notebook. Let's take a walk. Or just breathe this one in, right? So let's get into it. Welcome, Daydreamer. This is the Living Your Daydream podcast. And in this show, we quest together through seasons of life and business. I'm Asher James, a photographer, filmmaker, and creative business mentor. And my hope is that this show helps you settle into a place of peace and comfort in a world that attempts to distract us from what really matters, setting a healthy foundation for us to take big action on our goals and to achieve the life we've always dreamed of. As you listen, I invite you to join in on conversations with me that I have with industry friends, reflect on new ideas and inspirations, and apply this knowledge to design a life that I and you have always dreamed of. This is the Living Your Daydream podcast.
First, before we really kick off with questions and jamming on things that you want to talk about, for both yourself and anyone that's watching the replay of this, I just want to let you know a little bit about No Backup Plan, which is my workshop that is coming up in July. So it's about a month away. As of recording this, the early bird tickets are live. Those will go through the end of this week. So that is next Sunday, the 22nd. The early bird ticket sales will end, and those are $7. And then starting on Monday, the 23rd, up through the event, they're going to be $27. So if you want to save $20, make sure to hop over to the ticket sales page, grab your ticket, RSVP. If you want to buy some for you and friends, you can buy up to 4. So go ahead and do that. Let me show you a little bit of what this event is going to be. I'm just going to share my screen and go to the sales page. I have yet to create a little video here on, this is just going to be me talking and just being like, hey, like, this is what this is going to be about. So anyway, so this event is called No Backup Plan. It's going to be Thursday, July 17th in the Bagley building downtown, which is where my studio is. It's going to be an evening for us to come together and talk about goals, but not only talk about the goals, but actually come up with a plan to execute those goals, not like a New Year's resolution, not like a where do you want to be in 5 years, but 12 weeks. So that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to go through my Daydreamer 12, which is like a 12-week framework that I've been developing. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to actually declare a goal, start writing out how we're going to get there and everything in between. And then we're going to celebrate and party. So there's going to be a DJ. It's going to be really fun. So there is only 50 seats available. So if you want to hop on to this event, make sure that you do. Like I said, early bird tickets are just $7, and those go through next Sunday. And, this event is going to be for anyone that is looking for that motivation to have an idea and accomplish it in 12 weeks. I know that there's a lot of creatives and entrepreneurs that I know that have either diagnosed or undiagnosed ADHD, or folks that just have like their hands in so many different pots. This is going to be a night where you can actually just focus on something that's really going to push you forward. And so if you're looking for that plan, you're looking for that direction, you're looking for a community to do this with, this is going to be the room that you're going to want to be in. So I'm really, really excited. Make sure that you are getting your ticket as soon as you can. And I'm going to even start serving you with some benefits and bonuses leading up to the event. So that is the long and short of it. I'll stop presenting for now and actually dive into the rest of this coaching call. But I just wanted to let you know of that event, and it's going to be pretty epic. So I'd love to see you there in July. So super stoked. Yee, thank you. All right, Heather, what do you want to jam on while we have some time here together? And I know you're talking about how before we hopped on the call, or before we started recording the call, you were mentioning how you're kind of like figuring out how to balance the worlds of being like on leadership of two companies, both with your publishing brand, but also with Third Coast Superior, which is doing a fish sauce and maybe other products and things like that going forward. So you've got a publishing brand, you've got a product-based brand. I know that there's so many other ideas and things. You have your podcast, so I just want to kind of open the floor. What are you working on? What do you need help with? What direction or motivation or ideas, or how can I serve you right now?
Beautiful question. I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course.
One thing that I broke through myself, I've been listening and really obsessed with a book. Her first name is Laura, but it's called Uptime.
Okay.
It's a book, and it really is kind of about maximizing the best hours in our day for our brain. It's kind of all about that, like, where do we waste time? And she talked about like a dashboard concept. And so I kind of really bought into that. And what I did for my two companies as they came together, instead of what I thought was logical was to have Hezi May publishing tasks like in one column on the dashboard and Third Coast on another, what I did instead is I started grouping them according to what part of my brain they use.
Yeah.
And so like now I have like the email list or like the connecting and things like that. It's like that's one list, and it doesn't matter which company they're for. And so I started saying I do a lot of the same things regardless of which company it is, because those are my assets I bring to the companies. And so that has helped tremendously to not be jumping. But I think this goes back to even maybe some of the same things I've never quite figured out well, sure, even when I only had one company. And when you are a one-man band and figuring out the strategic approach, because, my brain does jump all over the place, and it's like, okay, now I haven't posted social media wise. And, yep, it's about kind of how can I come to peace with a plan? If I am the person who is running the show 100% for Hezi May, and that means any marketing, where do I find grace with myself that social media posting is not my jam?
Yep.
And so therefore, like, I like the way I do connect with the letters and like very intentionally. And that's the part I don't want to lose. But I think it's, it's finding that balance when you have, is it not, is it about, again, this dashboard of like, here's your buckets and figuring that out. But I have more than double the amount of work that I did a month ago in my brain. Yeah. So I think I just need some strategies that have worked for you when you do feel like, okay, it's important for me. It's important for me to maximize my time and also still find balance and love life. And, are there any things that you have done when you are pulled in multiple directions? You're pulled with your photography. Yeah. You want the podcast. You are like, ooh, I want to do this offering. And like, they're all a little different. And you're like, ooh, but am I advertising for my wedding stuff? Or like, what have you done when you've kind of felt like, hey, these are the plates I'm spinning. How do I feel comfortable and pick the things that are the most important?
Just writing some of these notes and thoughts down off on the side. Mm-hmm. So that's what I was doing.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, man, it's a lot. I think that one of the biggest mistakes that we can make as entrepreneurs is separating our attention to multiple things. I'm very, very guilty of this. So I'm speaking from a place of like, I do this, even though I know in my brain that the more I take on, the more I'm essentially only giving each thing that I'm working on a part of myself rather than all of me, There's this concept of the one thing. There's a book called The One Thing that I'd recommend reading. And the long and short of it is, like, if you just want to take away from the book, it's like every successful entrepreneur, every successful business person, even just every successful person in your family or whatever, they have one thing that is their main priority, right? One thing. So like for Steve Jobs, it was the iPhone, Yes, there's other products, but what's the one thing that he put everything into? It was that, right? There's so many other examples of that, but just to get back to the point, I have Duluth Creative Co. I have photography. I have this coaching and education brand I'm doing, and I know that if I really wanted one of those things to take off, I would give it my full attention. Right. And I'd forget everything else. Now, that being said, that's not always the reality. Sometimes we overcommit. Sometimes we say yes to things because we need to or want to, whatever kind of rhetoric we want to use there is fine. But at the end of the day, what happens is sometimes we have more things on our plate than we know what to handle, right? Know how to handle. And so what I do is I go through seasons of focused energy where I choose a one thing to focus on. And that is the thing that takes nearly all of my high energy. And then all my other things that I'm doing, I just put on maintenance energy. Right. And so on the macro level, what I do is, let's say I pick a season, I pick a quarter, I pick a time of year. I have this program coming out that I'm going to launch at the workshop, No Backup Plan. The program is called the Daydreamer 12, and it's going to be a 12-week coaching program where we take that goal that we make at the workshop, and then for people that want to do it on their own, great. For people that want to do that with a group, then I have like an offer that people can join, right? And so I think that 12 weeks is a little less than a quarter. So you have like that quarter worth of work plus some built-in vacation, because I think rest and celebration is really important. Getting ahead of myself. So when I look at a season, or when I look at like something that I want to accomplish, I think of 12 weeks The next 12 weeks, what's the one thing that is like my number one priority? So this past winter in January through March, it was focusing on Duluth Creative Co. and getting our membership up. Memberships were down, bookings were down, engagement was down. So I came up with some goals for that 12-week period. And I was like, the leg metric is going to be more members at the end. Now, I can't literally just create more members, but what needs to be true for me to have more people that want to join? Okay, so then I work backwards from that. So what needs to be true? More people need to know about it. So I need to do some marketing, just as simple as like posting more on social media, maybe running an ad. And I ran 2 ads. I want to host an event, that's more of a publicity event. So I hosted a office hours, techno house social on a Sunday. That was huge. Cross posting with Duluth Creative Co. Duluth Coffee Company, M. Humes, the DJ, the Bridge Cocktail Lounge. All of our Instagrams were all posting together. That got so many people to know about the space because they know about it. They're like, oh, maybe I work remote. Maybe I could use this space. So I got our membership base up, right? Okay, so that was that. Now, March through, let's say, June, kind of where we're at right now, my big focus was like, okay, I have gotten the membership base up. So like Duluth Creative Co. is paying its bills. But me in general, as an entrepreneur, I'm kind of in like a little bit of a money hole. I need more revenue to come in. I need more financial energy coming in the door. So how can I get some more financial energy? I need to say yes to some projects. I need to say yes to some client work because I need that now. Not something I could really think about, like planting some seeds to make some money in the future. I was like, what can I do now? So I told people around me, I was like, hey, I'm looking for work. Told Mariah, we do a lot of work together. And then, landed some big projects that paid some bills. And then that was like a big chunk of what the last couple months was for me. I finished all of that up like mid-May. And so now my new 12-week goal, my focus for this season, May through end of July, is no backup plan. So that's my main focus. So everything that I'm posting, everything I'm putting on my calendar, that's like the 80% of the stuff I'm focusing on. And then there's 20% that is maintenance across the board. So like I'm maintaining my wedding brand and I'm shooting the weddings, editing, delivering, doing all of that on time. I'm maintaining Duluth Creative Co., touring new members when they ask randomly about it, taking on bookings that come through, signing up new members, but I'm not really doing anything super big or crazy marketing wise there. The podcasting side of my brand, not my own podcast, but producing other people's shows. That's on maintenance. So I did actually a little bit of like that Q2 goal. Back in March and April, I started like reaching out and saying like, hey, I need to take on more work. And one of those things was maybe booking some more podcasts to use the podcast studio. So I onboarded like 3 new shows, which is huge. So that was a huge boost to me financially, and it gave me the financial energy I needed to pay myself, pay down some debts, put some money away in savings, put some money away for our honeymoon that we still haven't gone on. We got married a year ago, my wife and I, and to start putting some money away to help energize this no backup plan workshop and the Daydreamer 12 coaching program. So that money now that I got is now fueling this next phase where maybe I'm not going to make as much during this 12-week sprint, but I'm going to be getting people onto my email list. I'm going to be getting people at my event. I'm going to be serving people. I'm going to have that event photographed and filmed. Now I have more materials to use for future marketing. I can now say that I've hosted a workshop. Like if I want to be an educator, what needs to be true for me to be an educator? Well, the me that's an educator 2 years from now, that's well known for it, has my books full. Coaching calls are so expensive with me because I just don't have that much time. What does that person do? He does workshops, right? So why don't I do a workshop right now? And then I'm there. I've already met that goal, So anyway, so back to your question, how do you balance all the plates that you're spinning, how do you make that happen? I focus on one plate at a time. And it's not that I let the other ones keep spinning or let them crash. This is kind of where the metaphor gets a little muddy, but I just focus on the one plate. How can I make this plate as tasty and beautiful for my client as possible? How can I really just give all my energy to this meal instead of all the other things that are going on in the kitchen? Just let those things boil a little bit, let the oven preheat, let those things sit, let stuff that's in the fridge maybe go into the freezer for now. I'm just going to focus on this one plate. So that's what I do. And so another part of your question is about balance, right? So balance between work and these things that I've been talking about, more of work, but also life as well. And something that I have come to realize or maybe live out or experiment with, something that I've done in my life, is get rid of the word balance and swap it out for the word sway. I think that when we think about work-life balance, that's for folks who are in traditional employment. You have your day job that you balance with your life, and they don't really intermix that much. Okay, that's balance. Now, sway is where maybe you're an entrepreneur, maybe you have a job that demands a little bit more time from you than a traditional job does, right? Whatever that is, I think that what we truly actually do in reality is not balance both 50-50, because then we're doing both poorly. But if we communicate, let's say we're going to go into a season where we're focusing more on work and less on family, you're not in balance there. You're imbalanced, right? And so what you're doing is you're actually swaying your energy over here. Forget about this balance, but let's focus on sway, right? Because neither one is more important than the other ever, but sometimes things require more energy from us. And so we sway into a season of focusing on work, and we communicate to family in our life and to ourselves, I have to sacrifice these things because this season is going to be more focused on this. Now, when you sway one way, I think it's important to sway back the other way and to nurture those relationships. Take some time off, go on a vacation, call your mom. I need to do that more. I just sometimes get so caught up in my sway of work that my relationships, visiting family, my marriage, those things get less from me. So there needs to be seasons where I swing into a more personal life focused season. And now inherently that comes with privilege, but I think that privilege loves preparation, right? So if we prepare for it, we can build in that privilege for ourselves to be able to take the time to spend more time with family, to spend more time on life, to spend more time on personal development, whatever it is. So I don't think it's about balance and trying to balance both things at the same time. I think it's about prioritization and seasons of sway, and which one are you swaying into? One more thing you mentioned was Instagram and kind of some burnout, and not only burnout, but guilt that you're feeling about not posting. Something I have thought about with Instagram recently is, instead of posting consistently to be letting people know of your offers, to stay relevant, to whatever algorithm, I'm encouraging people that are feeling burnt out with Instagram to stop posting for the sake of posting, but to post for proof of life, right? People don't always need to know every single little thing you're doing. People don't always need, especially who I'm talking to right here is people that feel like you, people that feel really burnt out with it, uninspired, guilt from not posting enough, which weirdly causes more burnout, not from doing the thing, but from not doing the thing, And so, I'm losing my thought. Let me come back to it here. So anyway, posting for proof of life, showing your audience when they land on your grid that you're here, you're posting, you're working on things, and that you don't not post for 3 months, but maybe you post when you can, right? You don't need to post every day. You don't need to post every week, but maybe you post just enough, or you show up on stories to give your audience proof of life, and you don't have to like perform, but you can just show up like you would on your own personal account, right? And then maybe there'll be a season where you go all out on marketing and you're really inspired and you're like, oh, okay, I have all these ideas of how I want to show up on social media. Then do that. Don't let trends or ideas of what we need to be doing dictate how you post on social media, because that's just going to bring you right back to that guilt and right back to that burnout. And it's not fun, especially for folks like you, like me, that don't love social media, but we need to do it because it's a part of our jobs. It's part of our industry. But with that being said, we also even more so need to have more fun when we're doing it. And not treat it as much like a serious thing. We just need to show up how we want to and not let it be this big performative act of posting on social media, but just posting like to your friends, you know, posting because it's social media. It's not business media, you know, and we sometimes think of it like, oh, I need to be so professional on here. I need to do this, this, and this. And it's like, no, that's why you're not posting, is because you think that that's what you should be. So you just decide not to post at all, you know? Another thing is that you can design content that, whether you're posting every day or whether you're posting once a week or twice a month, you can design your Instagram so that it's kind of an extension of your website, so that you don't need to always feel guilty about not posting on it. You know that if someone lands on your grid because they just like get your Instagram handle from a friend and they're like, oh, you need to go check out this person. Story highlights act as pages of your website. So I would encourage you to have like here's the next steps of how to work with me. Here's a little bit about me. Here's about my offers. Here's some BTS of me working on things. So like, that's a way you can just organize your highlights on your story. And then your top 3 posts on your social media account, like Instagram, should also be some funnel related posts, right? So think top of funnel, first pin post, who are you? Second pin post, what are your offers? Third pin post should be some sort of social proof. So that social proof could be a review. It could be a testimonial. It could be a feature, like if you're a photographer, and you have like some of your work featured in a magazine, like post about that there. Like those top 3 things should be who you are, what your offer is, and some social proof that backs that up, right? Now, when someone lands on your profile, they're not looking at something that, you know, oh, this person hasn't posted since however long ago. They're actually consuming content that you made that's a little bit more evergreen than maybe what we think these platforms allow us to post, right? Like, yes, things die within like a day or a few hours or 15 minutes. But if someone goes to your grid, you can still serve them without having to post every day via your stories, your highlights, and via those top 3 pin posts. I have a whole free course that I made for that. If any of you that are watching this have not done the 5-day Instagram glow up, it's in the Daydreamers community. Go to learning. And when you go to the learning tab, I'll actually show you this just for anyone watching. Okay. So you're inside the Daydreamers community. You go to learning, and then you go over here and you'll see the 5-day Instagram glow up. And this is a little mini course that you can do, whether it's in 5 days or not. You could binge the whole thing. I think the whole thing is like 30 minutes long. So I wanted to be short and sweet. You click on it. You can watch the video, but I also have everything outlined down below. This is almost the exact script. So if you want to listen to it, look at the description, you can do whatever you want. For anyone that's listening to this, I might post this as a podcast episode as well. To join my Daydreamers community, it's an online community. It's free. We do monthly coaching calls like this, and we also have some midweek mixers from time to time. We have some discussion as far as like, hey, what's everyone working on? Some weekly reflection prompts, things like that. So go check that out. The link to that is in the description of this episode, and you can join that for free and get access to that 5-day Instagram glow up. So anyway, so Heather, does that answer your questions. Is there anything that I mentioned that you want to go back to? I just kind of riffed on all those ideas that you had, that you brought up. How is that sitting with you? What inspired you? What were you thinking of taking with you?
I think that I've been using a lot of that similar language even before you started recording, and we were talking about my new responsibilities with Third Coast. And I put a timeline out there. I said, I'm really committed, for the next 6 months. So I think the language I was missing was the maintenance energy. That was permission for me. Like, it's not saying this isn't important. It's not saying I'm disappearing.
Yep.
But it is allowing me, when I say this is important, to also just release a little hold on the things that I'm trying to maintain. Like, oh yeah, that's the great word with maintenance. It's not like this, ooh, we keep stacking, because I agree with you that the one thing, I agree with you that helps us keep our priorities focused, right?
Totally.
Like when you've got the one thing.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest takeaway, was I think the permission to say, even though these things are friggin' important, whether my timeline is 6 months or 12 weeks or whatever it's going to be willing to say, here's my one thing that I want to focus on, which is what sounds like you did, from the start of this year. You gave a couple examples of like, here's quarter, like, here's what I worked on and here's what I worked on. I think one question I have, because you were talking about like, I wanted to increase membership. And so I really focused on the Duluth Creative Co. for the beginning. But then on my second quarter, it was like, I really wanted an infusion financially. Did you have like the foresight to see that way in advance? Or was it like that you did your first 12 weeks and you're like, that's successful. What's my next 12 weeks from that moment? Like, have you strategically planned it like a year in advance, or are you pivoting and swaying where you need as you reach your goal for that first 12-week goal you have?
Yeah, that's a great question. So this is something that, again, I have a framework that's like an ideology, right? But then I have like what I actually do sometimes, right? Because I'm a human, so I'm not always perfect. Like, there's ideas of things that we should do and stay within and that I teach, but sometimes I also don't do that because it doesn't work exactly in the moment. So again, giving permission to take anything that you learn from anyone, take what you want, leave what doesn't work for you. I think that that's important. But in this particular instance, no, I did not have a whole roadmap for the year. I had a general idea of what I wanted this year to be about. I wanted Duluth Creative Co. to have more steady memberships, and I wanted to launch my education brand and do a workshop. Those are my big ones. I was like, Duluth Creative Co. needs to pay its bills and not be siphoning money from my photography brand, which is successful and wonderful and great.
Mm-hmm.
I need Duluth Creative Co. to pay for itself. I need it to step up. And to do that, it needs my attention, or it needs to close. So I had that conversation with myself before deciding to start the Grow the Memberships. I came to that decision. I was like, okay, this needs my attention for the next 12 weeks or however long, insert time period, or I need to dismiss this thing, right? It needs to close. It needs to stop taking away my attention. And I didn't want that, partially for emotional reasons, not necessarily logically. But I do think that there's value there that Duluth Creative Co. will be able to have and give, especially if my education and coaching brand continues on the path that I would love it to, So I had those rough ideas of what I wanted the year to look like, and then I looked a little bit more micro. And right now, again, I bet a lot of people can empathize with this or feel this. Sometimes what I need to do in the moment takes precedent over what the big dream is. And so that quarter two, I really actually didn't do much in March, April, or May to move my business forward. My businesses came to a halt because I needed to find some financial energy immediately to be able to fund the next thing, right? So I'm not saying that that was maybe the smartest move for growth long term, but in a reality in which I'm living in and that I made for myself, those decisions in the moment seemed more important to get some money into the bank account so that I can fund the next thing. So that's what happened to me. So does that answer your question?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, ideally, going back to that, so like I think that again, the framework that I teach, the Daydreamer 12 that I'm developing and making is a 12-week program, but you can think about it stacked on top for like a whole year, for example. So if you have your 12 weeks, it's not quite a full quarter. So then you might have like 2 or 3 weeks of vacation or rest. Then you have your next 12 weeks, a couple weeks of rest. So if you think about that, those 12 weeks can be like a quarter plus a little bit of vacation time or rest, recuperation. When you map that out, let's say you're mapping that out in like November, December, or any time of year. It doesn't need to be in a calendar year, but in any time, I would map out maybe what your big top ideas are for the year, the things that you want to work on. And less that, I think that if you zoom way out and think about like yourself 2 to 3, maybe 5 years from now, right? Going into the Daydream design thing that I have, that's a part of the Daydreamer 12. If you think about where you want to be in the future, how can we actually live that life that you're thinking of right now? Right? How can we arrive there, or how can we change our mindset to gratitude and appreciate what we have instead of what we're chasing? Right? And in that moment, you will actually be living your daydream, you know? But there may be a few things that aren't just achievable in your brain and in your mindset. So yes, like maybe there are some things that you need to do to book some more of your dream clients. Maybe there's some things that you need to do to be able to buy that house. You know, obviously you can't just like think a house and have it the next minute, right? That just doesn't work like that. So then you ask yourself like, well, what needs to be true for me to achieve that thing? What needs to be true for me to have that house 5 years from now? What needs to be true? Let's say you want to be an educator and you want to speak on stages. Like, well, what needs to be true for me to be asked to speak on a stage? Or what needs to be true for me to just be on a stage? Maybe I'm not asked. Maybe I'm the one that's chasing those things. And I'm like, hey, can I be on this stage? You know, I have so much to give to this program, to your audience, whatever. Anyway, so you can think big picture about those things. And those big picture ideas then will dictate what your 12-week stretches are. And then how can we actually achieve the most important one thing that's going to drive us to our goal in that 12-week period. And then that's where that no backup plan Daydreamer 12 framework comes into play. And again, a whole workshop and program dedicated to that. And we can get more into that later, another time. But I think ideally, yes, you do have an idea of your core values, how you want to feel in the life that you want to be living. Some of that you can change your mindset and be feeling that right now. You can wake up tomorrow and live that thing. Some things you actually need to work towards. Now, those things, let's work backwards. What needs to be true for that thing to happen, right? Anyway, what needs to be true for this 6-month sprint of working with Third Coast? What needs to be true for you to hit your revenue goals? What needs to be true for you to get in more stores? What needs to be true for you to reach a new market? Now you have that idea. What needs to be true? Now answer that question. The thing that needs to be true, well, we need more production. We need more staff. We need more marketing. We need to do this. We need to be in these rooms. We need to talk to these people. You know, those are the things then that you'll work backwards on. And then that will tell you, okay, what am I doing this week? What's my high value task? My 1, 2, maybe 3 things that I need to do this week. Week 2. That'll get you to week 3. Now you've covered your first 4 of the 12-week sprint. You can kind of you've hit a little milestone, right? Then you can keep building. Okay, now I'm in the middle of this 12-week thing. What happens in week 5, 6, 7, 8? Okay, now you hit milestone number 2. Okay, things are happening. They're moving. You know, they're really hard, but we have 4 weeks to go. Now week 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, you know, or 9, 10, 11, 12. And then you've hit that 12 weeks. Now, this is theory, so that might take you 15 weeks. That might take you 5 months, whatever. But if you can work backwards and let the destination that you want to arrive to tell you what you should be doing now. Don't start building towards that thing, build backwards from it, and then start doing those things. And you'll come up with less to-dos than if you tried to start at the beginning and work towards it.
Yep.
Think of that thing and then reverse engineer it and ask yourself what needs to be true. Yeah.
Yeah. I love the reverse engineering. It adds so much clarity.
Yeah.
It does. It gets out of the muddy middle, and
It'll remove so much fluff and stuff that you think you need to do. It'll just delete it. Delete it, get it out of the way. That doesn't need to be true for this to happen. But if you work from the beginning, you might think that needs to be true, right? Anyway.
I love it. And that was all just so practical. And it's funny, it's just this little tip in belief and terminology. It doesn't, just to say, again, the maintenance energy, you got me with that. Like, that was just this deep sigh of, yes. And that just changed it all, just hearing that. And the one thing for 12 weeks. And I also like the idea of the sway, because you're right. There are periods of time where as entrepreneurs, we do need to focus heavier, harder, and that is our priority. And we might be swayed away from relationships, or because it isn't traditional. And then there might be moments when we just have a lot of infusion of downtime and relationship time because we're in a season for our bit, that is. So the sway, it's not about always being like this. It isn't about balance. So I really appreciate that too.
A lot of permission giving, right? I come to find, and I love your language with that. Like, I'm using your language of saying permission, like it's giving you permission to think about this. That's what I think mindset shifts are, is like you remembering or being told, and you're like, actually, you have permission to do this thing, to feel this way, to do this. And it's like, oh yeah, I didn't need that permission, but thanks for the reminder. Now I myself can give myself permission to do that. You know what I mean? Like, it's so powerful. And I find that to be true with almost any mindset shift. Is just like, oh yeah, duh, but it can be so hard for us to just think about that. And sometimes, I know, kids will hear some things from their parents, but it won't click for them until someone else tells them the same thing. And then they're like, oh, okay, I get it now. So it's like, even sometimes we aren't ready to receive that information. But then when we hear it again and again, we're like, oh, this makes sense now at this point in my life with this lived experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Confirmation.
Exactly.
Like you say, the permission, the confirmation of something I already knew, but I've been able to put it into the words, to grab it, to believe in it, and to act on it. But yet it was already swirling. It was marinating. So no, that really gave me so much clarity.
Excellent. What kind of clarity are you feeling? What do you want to be working on?
I am so passionately excited about the launch of Third Coast.
Yeah.
I see where my strengths are needed and can be utilized, and it's natural. And I've been saying that by allowing this very big endeavor in my life, it gave me what I actually wanted with Hezime. I wanted to hold Hezime more gently, and allow what I do to just let it develop as it has been, without this pressure of, you need to fund my life.
Right.
Right. Like, I want to hold it gently and beautifully and have that grace with that company, because that's what its vision is and my mission. And yet Hezime, or Third Coast, allows me to be the dynamic leader that I am.
Yeah.
And to kind of work towards something that will give me even more room to hold Hezime the way I want. So they do work well together. I just hadn't kind of taken in the maintenance energy. And the maintenance energy it doesn't mean you're not doing anything. It might mean I still tape the occasional podcast, but it's this, once you say, well, am I maintaining it? Yeah, that means it's not my one thing. So
right.
I really appreciate that. And that's what that meant to me. And so, yeah, Third Coast, I committed to that. I committed to saying I'm going to be a leader in this company, and that means before you hire production or before you do those things, your first goals, we know those goals, and so I want to just do exactly what I said I wanted to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not stay in any mud.
Yeah. And then here's where some magic can happen. Okay, so you committed to 12 months, right? Do you have an idea of where you would be at that 12-month mark?
Oh,
what would be accomplished? Oh, sorry, 6 months. That's what I meant.
Let's just cut it right in half. See, look at that was the magic right there.
I was little Freudian slip. That's where I was going with that.
So anyway, sorry, what was your question?
Okay, let's reframe it. Okay, so when you say that you are with Third Coast for 6 months, do you have like some KPIs, some key performance indicators, some outcomes, goals, if you will, things that you want to get accomplished or that you contractually need to get accomplished within that time frame?
Yeah, we definitely have some outcomes and some key like kind of trigger points, like these benchmarkers, the benchmarkers of the launch. And we expect those benchmarkers to happen by the end of this year. They could happen sooner, you know, but like that's the prediction, and that will be the trigger to like a new chapter.
Yeah.
And so then it will be another kind of significant pivot, so to speak. So yes, we do have those like points, those goal markers of here's what we need. And I think, you know, we are starting to kind of get into some of those, like the SWOT analysis of ourselves and the organization, so that we can strategically figure out to be able to do the reverse engineering. And I think we're kind of, you know, we're doing that. We're like, what do we need to accomplish, and how are we going to do that? And working our way backwards and kind of looking at the calendar. And it's nice because, you know, our systems of production run on about a 12-week cycle.
Love that. I love it.
I mean, you can't make that stuff up.
Right.
Right. And so like we have that ability to like chunk by that, because we've got these 12 weeks and like what happens at those breaking points. And so yeah, it's absolutely invigorating, and I feel like it's teaching me a whole new world of entrepreneurship. But yet at the same time, I'm bringing so many amazing learnings to the table.
Totally.
You know, things I've already learned through education, being a teacher, being an entrepreneur for Hezzy May. It's really, it is magical. It's fun. It's good. And I like this philosophy of what you're sharing. Like this works with my business philosophy and the way my brain works. So
excellent. I'm very happy to hear that.
Yeah.
So good.
Oh, good. So yeah, you really helped me right as I walk into an interesting week. My main thing with Third Coast, that's going to have another pretty significant pivot this week.
Okay.
And so this call gave me some footing that I feel much more at ease, even though nothing has really changed too much.
Right.
Yeah, it gave me the footing I need to be like, oh, got this.
Yeah. So. I find stuff like this, like when I'm in a coaching call or I'm listening to other people on their podcast or whatever, like these kind of like mindset conversations are just kind of fun to drop in on. Because even though nothing significantly big may tangibly change in your life, the intention that you show up in each day and with each decision, and those decisions are what push you forward through life. Like those little things that you don't see right now, but you'll notice as you go through this week, your week is going to be very different.
Yes.
Experientially.
Yeah.
Than, you know, just because you have some of that intention and you're able to think about that now and you're like, oh, okay, found my footing. Now, what is going to be the way I want to attack this? You know, I always find that super helpful when I'm in a coaching call with my mentor, you know, with my when I'm listening to a podcast. It's just, it's so
Absolutely.
interesting.
Well, it's the little nuggets that align and they resonate. Like you say, like it was in me all along, but it resonated so deeply when you talked about the maintenance energy. It's the first thing I wrote down.
Yeah.
And that's a little like the tipping point. That's actually the book I'm reading by Malcolm Gladwell right now. It's about the tipping point, and it's about like that, it's the tipping point when things, whether it's like one person getting sick and it can turn into a whole epidemic or a pandemic, or one person buying this one brand of chocolate bar and all of a sudden it's a world famous, like it's the tipping point. And I think it's that way in our brains too. Sometimes all it takes is one pivot, one little tip, and everything changes exponentially from that moment forward. And you can't necessarily explain it.
Right.
It was a tipping point of an energy shift. And that's what I always kind of go toward in that growth mindset is I'm looking for the things to pivot, tiny adjust, because I know they have the potential to be landslide movements.
Yeah.
Right? Like you said, your whole week now could be different, will be different. And then what does that lead into the next week and the next week? And as it compounds. So
just based on how you show up in it.
That's so much of it. That's so much of it.
How you show up in it, how you take up the space that you're in, like how you allow yourself to be there, Yeah.
And how solid your toolbox is. This is another tool for my toolbox is to consider one thing is your focus and your maintenance energy and kind of like the reverse engineering. Again, that's a fabulous tool for so many things in life. And
totally.
It
could work for health and wellness. It could work for relationships. It could work for personal life, financial goals, like a house, fund or whatever, college fund, like, and then obviously in business, planning a trip. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's really cool. Like as I'm building this thing, I'm also like testing it myself and implementing it in my own life and being my own little guinea pig. And I'm like reading books now and like, I'm always reading books, but like I'm reading things or experiencing things and going through life. And I'm like noticing things happen in life that I'm giving language to in my own brain and then writing down and creating this framework. And it's like, this thing already existed. What we're doing is we're just naming and noticing, and framing. And I think that I'm like, oh, this thing was already out there. This thing was already created. I'm just uncovering it, there was someone that said something similar to that in like a TV show or a movie or something I was watching that was really profound. And it was something along those lines of like, oh, it was Wes Anderson. And he was talking about his new movie, The Phoenician Scheme. Okay. And he was talking about how when he was writing it with his co-writer, I forget who that was, it was less that they were writing the story and more that they were just uncovering the story. They were discovering what these characters were going through as they were doing it. And I was like, that's fascinating.
Oh my God.
Fascinating. And as a writer, I'm sure you're like, yeah, that's how it goes. Your characters take you places that you didn't expect.
Even things that are nonfiction.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's not in like characters where you're like, oh, they're fictional. And, we hear of authors who say, oh, the story was in me and that character was in me. But even nonfiction where it's lived experiences, there is an energy that dictates how it's told or what's told. I mean, there is energy there. So absolutely.
Yeah. How cool.
Absolutely.
Well, hey, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I want to make sure you're getting everything you need. Is there any other questions or ideas that you wanted to cover while we had some time today?
No, I think this was beautiful. I feel very honored that I got one-on-one time. And
hey, how about that, right?
Yeah, I hope people that are listening, I hope that some people can find some nuggets in some of the things I shared that are my struggles too. It's about sharing and showing up and vulnerably saying, yeah, this is hard, or we have to create community and be willing to collaborate and learn from each other. So thank you so much I was so excited to see that you had a Sunday session.
Yep.
That just really worked for me. And so I really appreciate your time.
I love it. I appreciate your time and you spending it here with me. It means the world. And to everyone else, thank you for listening, watching, putting this on while you're at work, and just catching up. We're going to be doing these coaching calls monthly. And we also have midweek mixers happening about every other week right now. And those are a more casual space for us to show up, talk about what we're working on socially and in business, whatever. So those midweek mixers could be another way to get involved in these. And I really appreciate you being here, Heather. And for everyone else listening, I hope that you were able to take away some nuggets from today's coaching call. So carry those with you into the rest of the week. Take what works, leave what doesn't, and we'll see you in the next one.